Heavy grey towers crowning the horizon often evoke an involuntary sense of awe in passers-by. But inside these concrete giants, a haunting, almost sterile silence reigns. This place is not just a factory, but a gargantuan temple of physics, where the tamed energy of the stars drives the modern world. If you step closer to the very heart of the station, you won't hear the roar of burning coal or the scream of flames, for a different, quiet, and invisible force is at work here. It all begins with a small, grey cylinder, barely larger than the tip of your finger. This ceramic uranium dioxide pellet seems unremarkable, yet within its depths lies a power capable of replacing entire trainloads of fossil fuel. Thousands of these pellets are tightly packed into thin zirconium tubes, which engineers call fuel rods, the heat-generating elements. They are gathered into massive bundles, forming the reactor core hidden inside a steel vessel with walls 30 centimeters thick. Inside this steel womb, something occurs that the human eye can never witness directly without risking life itself. Uranium nuclei, like overripe fruit, exist in a state of fragile equilibrium, ready to split at the slightest nudge. That nudge is provided by a neutron, a tiny particle that slams into the nucleus, causing it to shatter in two. At the moment of this microscopic explosion, a colossal binding energy is released, instantly turning into heat. But the most vital part happens next. As one nucleus decays, new neutrons fly out, rushing toward neighboring atoms and triggering an endless dance of fission. This is the chain reaction, but unlike an uncontrolled explosion, here it flows smoothly and steadily. To prevent the process from turning into an elemental force, control rods, absorbers, slide between the fuel rods, soaking up excess neutrons like a sponge, slowing or accelerating the rhythm of the atomic heart. This entire invisible storm serves a single purpose: to heat the water that continuously circulates through the reactor. Here, physics teaches its first important lesson. The water in the primary circuit never boils, despite reaching temperatures of 300 degrees Celsius. Immense pressure, maintained by specialized systems, keeps it in a liquid state, turning it into a super-efficient coolant. This water becomes radioactive, so it never leaves the containment area, moving in a closed loop. It merely transfers its heat to a second clean circuit through thousands of thin tubes in the steam generator. There, behind a massive steel partition, ordinary purified water turns into steam, which rushes into the outside world under colossal pressure. This moment can be called a triumph of engineering. An invisible stream of steam, accelerated to supersonic speeds, bursts into the turbine hall. Before us stands a giant rotor, its blades polished to a mirror shine, taking the full brunt of the hot gas. The weight of this rotating colossus is measured in hundreds of tons, yet the steam forces it to spin at an incredible frequency, 3,000 revolutions per minute. The roar in the turbine hall is such that every cell of the body vibrates, and it is here that mechanical motion is transformed into what we have come to call light. On the same shaft as the turbine spins the generator rotor, a colossal magnet that, in the dance of the electromagnetic field, wrests electrons from the copper windings of the stator. Millions of volts are born in this titanic struggle of metal and steam, instantly surging through wires to cities, factories, and homes. But what happens to the steam once it has given up its energy? It doesn't vanish without a trace, for a nuclear power plant is a system striving for perfect balance. The spent steam enters a condenser, where it meets cold water from an external source, a river, a lake, or those famous cooling towers. Here, the steam turns back into water, releasing its remaining heat, and returns to the beginning of its journey to pass through the steam generator once more. Those massive towers we see from afar are merely giant exhaust stacks where warm water flows down, cooled by an oncoming updraft of air. The white cloud rising above them is not toxic smoke, but the purest water vapor, the breath of a giant returning excess heat to nature. This entire complex sequence of transformations is governed by a single logic: safety and stability. A modern nuclear power plant is surrounded by dozens of barriers, from the ceramic structure of the fuel itself to the reinforced concrete dome, capable of withstanding the crash of a heavy aircraft. Engineers in the control room monitor hundreds of sensors, but the very nature of the reactor assists them. In the event of any malfunction, the laws of physics act faster than any human. If the reactor overheats, the water simply stops, effectively slowing down neutrons, and the reaction dies out on its own. This is physics, woven into metal, where the chaos of atomic decay is tamed by human genius. When you look at the light from a bulb in your room, remember that somewhere far away, the giant turbine blades continue their endless run, and within the steel womb of the reactor, billions of atoms are splitting to grant us this comfort. This is the story of how the smallest particle of matter became the greatest source of creation, if you only know how to touch it correctly.